Welcome to another edition of Tuning In with Bob Lancer and
Dr. Greg Nielsen, but my students call me Dr. G.
all right.
I'll leave it at that. Not sure what they really mean, but
Dr. God.
that's, oh, hey, I got to change it legally. Put it on my driver's license.
It's so much fun to connect with you again. We're on
Yeah.
episode 5 of Tuning In. We're getting very nice responses from people, and we just
Yeah,
decided to sort of do this, right? Just
we did. I think we're getting a mini following.
yeah, yeah.
Might be
So
in the dozen or two people.
no,
No,
more than that. No, people are
whatever.
really
Yeah.
enjoying it, and I know you and I really enjoy it. Just having a
Oh,
natural conversation about the teachings of Isidore Friedman and what
yeah.
it did to us and how we apply it and how it's been working in our life. Uh,
Hmm.
and the name of this podcast is Tuning In because it's about helping people transition to the energy universe.
Hmm.
I guess the materialistic perspective. Uh,
Yeah.
how would you define that first crossing that Friedman talks about, the coming into the energy level? What does that mean to you? How did you get there?
Well, okay. Thank you. Excuse
On the
me.
spot.
I don't have my watch.
Good, because we're in the timeless zone.
Yes, I'm going to do my best to describe my steps,
Mhm.
but I would say probably was introduced to me first. I mean, I read about it in books, I heard about it, but at that point, it was just words in my mind,
And heard about what? The
becoming more energy oriented,
okay.
more energy functional, and oh, it sounded wonderful. And I think at the beginning, I said, "Oh, now that I thought about it, I must be able to do it automatically." I,
Wow.
because I've heard about it, I read about it, I believe in it,
Right.
but couldn't do it.
That's the big trap.
Yeah, so for me, that was first probably, and then Isidore came and talked to our group in New York City and Manhattan, and talked about it, and he was very organized and functional and structural, and he offered some suggestion about how to practice that, and he also suggested that we read Wittman's books. And in the book First Crossing, which is available through the School of the Natural Order, he outlines some of the steps to becoming an energy being. And one of them was, and you probably came across this many times too, that everything is energy. And I think he used the phrase like, everything's a configuration of energy units.
Mhm.
So I literally would spend a lot of the day, whatever I touched, whatever I looked at, it's a configuration of energy units and a dynamic energy system.
Mhm.
I was just parroting the words at
Mhm.
first until I began to notice the energy of a person, the energy of myself, the energy of a room, the energy of a culture, an energy of a TV show, a movie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and going, wow, okay. I started getting a referent, I guess you could say, for the word energy by my
Uh,
own experience.
yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to be talking a lot about reference and the
Yeah,
difference
good.
between reference and definitions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the introduction. And once that process opened, it opened up a whole nother universe. I guess Wittman called it the first crossing. I call it becoming an energy being. And
Mhm.
then I also discovered there's a lot of people that were kind of born as energy beings.
Hmm.
Surprised. I mean, they're not aware of it necessarily, but they're very sensitive to the vibration of the moment, the people that they're around, what they're going through, their own energy. It's a little bit semi-conscious, but they definitely experience it where other people don't that much. In fact, as time went by, I was very surprised when I would say to people, wow, did you feel that? Might be in a room, might be a person, might be an event. What do you mean? They go, what do you mean? Yeah, the vibration, the vibes, can you feel the vibes? Oh, I don't feel anything. There's
Right.
no vibes.
Right. There are no vibes.
And then I went into kind of a semi-shock state because I said, wow, there's a lot of people that really don't pick up on that. Or if they do, they kind of block it out.
I think Isidore referred to them as the Walking Dead.
Yeah, exactly. The Walking Dead. Yeah, there is a phase when you're basically a human being in form, but not a human being in function. If that makes any difference, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
You
In the
become a full
tarot,
human.
in the
Oh, there you
tarot,
go.
it's beautifully pictured this way,
Yeah.
where these rays coming out of the horn, that's the vibrational world, awakening, the beauty of awakening to the vibrational world is that
Mhm.
you can learn how to tune into different levels.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, but that's a little mini introduction to,
Yeah,
as I best recall it from
yeah.
my
Yeah.
experience.
So Isidore put a lot of emphasis on words and language.
Mhm.
Um, when you consider that, how does that figure into becoming an energy conscious being? How do you think that language impacts it?
In my view, and we all can say it different ways, obviously.
Sure, sure.
Uh, Words can point the way, but words are not the way. They're
Uh-huh.
signposts. The word is not the thing, according to Alfred Korzybski, who wrote Science and Sanity, and
Mhm,
is very much talking about that and emphasizing and asking, suggesting we read it.
mhm.
Bitvan too. So words are useful tools, but they're not the way. And the typical thing people say in some of these writings are the map is not the territory.
Right.
You know, I can look at a map to drive across Nevada. I know the number of the highway, Highway 50, but to actually drive Highway 50 in the moment, so many more things happen. I mean, it's overwhelming sometimes.
Mhm.
You know, it could be the weather, could be the wind, could be the wrong turn. Pay attention. You might have missed the town and didn't get gas, and now you're going to get, it goes on and on and on. You have to be in the moment and function according to living the experience of going
Right.
across Nevada or any other state, you know?
Yeah, because the energy universe
Yeah.
is Isidore used to say, we don't live in a universe of things that are changing.
Mm.
Say we live in a universe of change that is thinging, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and when we orient our language to that, it helps us to be present in the now instead of assuming I've been here before, been here, done that. What else can you show me?
Yeah.
And then you miss all the subtleties that are going on in the present moment, the
Yeah.
ability to connect with the with your situation, the ability to connect with the people in your situation. If
Mhm.
you stay present, that's consistent with the fact there was a was it Hippocrates who said you never step into the same river twice?
Yeah. It was once one of those Greek
One of
philosopher
those
guys.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I live by the Truckee River, and I know that's true because I've tried to do it. That
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't
And
work. But
also the fly fishermen that are in the lake in the river. I have a friend who's a fly fisherman. He can attest to that.
uh-huh. Okay.
Never in the river the same place all the
Yeah.
time, even though it may appear the same. It's not.
Right. And
Totally
and and our physical body's not the same from moment to moment. And
right.
so if we're conscious of the present and trying to pick up on the vibes, it can be serious. You can avoid making yourself ill,
Hmm.
by
Hmm.
if you're not conscious of how you're being affected by the pace at which you live or the
Hmm.
intensity at which you live, and then you start feeling things happening in your body. "Oh, well, I've always done it this way." Yeah, but right now it's starting to take a toll.
Hmm.
So you can start to shift. So living in the present moment, remembering that everything is everything you point to, this is a dynamic energy system, and this is a dynamic energy system. This seemingly solid metallic object
Hmm.
only seems like it's solid because of the limitations of my nervous system. You say, well, who cares? That's just sort of academic intellectual stuff. But
Hmm.
it programs the subconscious to pay attention.
Yeah.
And you could pick up a metal object sometimes and feel it draining you,
Yeah. Hmm.
and
Sure.
you have a choice between picking up something metal or something wood, and you can feel the difference, the
Hmm.
impact of the energy system, which impacts your consciousness, your choices. That's
Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
And as time goes by, and for some of people like myself who are starting from a place of the living dead, when I started, I mean, I was just grateful I knew anything to point the way to even any idea. But over time, to really wake up and spend the day as an energy oriented person is such an adventure. It's actually amazing. And you never really have it figured out because that's to be intellectual and that's words.
It'll take
You,
you out of it.
yeah, but that minute you do that, and I tell stories to friends of examples where oh yeah, I used to do it. I've done it that way, and it always worked that way. Well, That's a trap.
Yeah, yeah. Every now is new.
Yeah.
And then it becomes kind of fun when you start to awaken to that, because I came to the realization that I can actually kind of control my energy experience.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
live in a more harmonious vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It's not dependent upon outer circumstances, depending on sort of what I'm tuning into. When I
Mm-hmm.
can tune into the God vibration, you can tune into to nature's beauty. You can
Mm-hmm.
live it, you can tune into just being in a harmonious state, practice maintaining that harmonious state. And it's almost like being a musician,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
creating
could see
music
that.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You become more and more, I guess one word it might be responsible for your own energetic state.
Hmm.
And you actually learn to navigate that and enjoy it and share it and be it. And I know in my case, I kind of enjoy going into situations I'm not really familiar with in a way,
Hmm.
because wow, okay,
Yeah.
start navigating,
Hmm.
feeling, sensing,
Yeah.
adjusting, leaving, going,
Hmm.
and change, and then paying attention to how it's feeling within you,
That's right.
within the.
And it's interesting that the sort of the antithesis of that is like being in a kind of a codependent state with your outer world, where,
Hmm.
if you don't have the attunement, well, this person can annoy you, and what this person said can depress you, and what that person said can shame you, or this
Hmm.
person can excite you. Salespeople can manipulate you, getting all the way up and getting all the way down, so you can't think straight, right?
Yeah.
But if you have command of your energy field,
Hmm.
which you can strengthen every day just by practicing and remembering that I am responsible for the energy state I'm in.
Yeah.
It's not like there's something going wrong in my life. That's why I'm anxious. If I'm anxious, I got to change my tuning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Your tuning becomes different where you focus and energy follows attention.
Hmm.
And if you actually practice that, even in something that looks like a more difficult energetic situation, like you mentioned, you can actually change and transform your energy state fairly quickly. It doesn't
Yeah,
take that long. It's
yeah,
almost like on a dial where you
yeah.
just turn it and move it to another place internally. Could be feelings of joy and happiness and love, and just being aware in the moment generates those energies.
I remember Vitfan though talking about. He said, it's force against force. Like sometimes you just got to run away.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The energy state of the place or of the person
Mhm.
is too much for you to navigate through,
Yeah.
and you just realize, okay, just got to take a break,
Yep.
or I got to
Yep.
cross my arms and give some distance. Got to find a way to keep that energy from
Yeah.
getting into. Often that's with blood relatives,
Oh, well,
right?
tell me about that. We could spend time on that.
Yeah, yeah. Isidore used to say that we're born into the household of our enemies from a previous life.
Yeah. I remember there was a time I was studying with Izzy, I would go visit my family, and most of them are passed on now at this point, so I'm not going to use names or anything. And it wasn't that they were bad people.
No.
We'd go to visit, and I eventually brought 3x5 cards and put them in my pocket because from minute to moment, moment to minute, I could be swept into the old patterns.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I'd be going, wait a minute, I'm starting to get angry and I want to tell these people off and set them right. I
Yeah.
know they don't.
Right. Where did my true self go?
Yeah. And all that effort and time can be swept into
Yeah.
uh, I don't know, tidal wave, I guess you could
Mhm.
say, of old patterns and belief systems in the family force field.
So that's
And
where one of Isidore's principles of right measure
hmm
comes in. How much of this can I handle?
yeah.
And then how much of this do I have to separate from? And then it starts to get into a culture clash
Mm.
because you're supposed to be with your family.
Yeah.
You're supposed to join with your family and do what your family wants and support the family
Mhm.
system.
Oh yeah.
And and then you have that sort of dichotomy. Did you run into any conflicts with your family as you started to pursue the energy world?
I shouldn't laugh, but
Yeah, you always should
I'm
laugh.
getting a bundle of energy, a bundle of thought.
You should
Mm.
always laugh. This is what we say, always laugh, LAF, look at facts.
Oh yeah, I love that. When I was I'll answer that. But as a day-to-day teacher in classrooms, at the end of each semester, the group of people who laughed the most, I gave them all a $10 gift card to Starbucks.
Wow. Well,
Anyway, go back to
I'm gonna laugh a lot now, just in case.
so we were talking about family and did I ever have an experience? Of course I did.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate
Mm,
in the sense that I've been around enough other families and other people and their families compared to what I've seen.
mm.
My family was almost zero. I
Wow.
mean, I'm not sure why. They were both very avid readers, both my parents. I mean, voracious readers. So sometimes you bring things up and they had enough background to at least hear about it before,
Mm,
reading of some sign,
mhm.
some type. And so, yeah, I had my struggles, but I didn't really have to go to war in the sense, quote, war,
Right. Right.
super conflict.
Right.
I've
Right.
seen other people just devastated. I mean, just swept away
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it was difficult to function at all,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're in a day-to-day activity in the physical environment with a family. I've been separated by distance from
Mm-hmm.
my family most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of happened that way, and it was very effective, helpful
Mm.
because I have to be around them. I didn't feel obligated to be around them. Let's put it that way, because they weren't really present. I think if when I was younger, if they had been in the same neighborhood, a mile away, 2 miles away next door, yeah, that could have been more difficult for me.
Well, you remember Isidore wrote a piece called "What," and you have it on your Patreon,
Oh
"What
yeah,
Is, Should, and Shouldn't Be,"
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so when it comes to families, I find that a pretty significant challenge for
Oh,
people on the path of awakening, because when you're awakening to the energy level, your decisions are based on that. Your decisions
yes.
are based on the feeling, the intuitive sense you get of what really feels right for me at this time.
Hmm.
May not feel right for you at this time to be with one of your parents or with a sibling or with a cousin or something like that.
Hmm.
But people have this idea of what is, what should and shouldn't be, but you're
Hmm.
supposed to do this. And then that overlays the energy pattern. And when
Hmm.
that overlays the energy pattern and people are making decisions ignoring the energy pattern, that's when they get sick. That's when there's accidents. That's when we're going along a path of chaos, right?
Hmm.
That's when Saturn steps in and says, no, you
Oh,
don't.
yeah,
Right?
that's a no-no. You got to learn your lesson.
Yeah. 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 So,
It is, people, how am I going to put this in words? They can love a parent, they can love a brother or sister,
mhm,
uh, and you may have feelings of, you don't necessarily have to confront them. You don't
right.
necessarily say, I hate your guts,
Yeah.
You can say, well, I don't know, I would call it conscious white lies.
Huh.
In other words,
Grandma, you look so pretty in that ugly dress.
yeah, or I would go, instead of saying, no, I can't make it, I don't want to go because my
Right,
energy,
right.
because
Right.
my energy is such and such. I might say, look, I got something going on this weekend. I'm
Right.
working on my book.
Right.
And it was fairly true. I mean, so I just can't make it.
Right. Or I can't go there because the thought form that you have of me
Yeah.
projects onto me, and then I can't find who I am and what I'm supposed to be. That
Yeah.
would, I actually would express that to my
Oh, yeah.
parents, and then they would go like this, and
Oh, yeah. No, I don't, I don't know if I can remember. I'm getting older now. So, but uh, I tried to be as diplomatic as possible. But at the same time, if it came down to it,
Mhm.
I knew that I would just say it like it is, whether they liked it or not,
Yeah.
because I valued what my state was in without being mean. Just tell it like it is if I had to go that far. And from time to time, that did happen. And I just made it clear, this is my path, and this is what I'm going to do. And yeah, there you go.
It's symbolized by this, you have the scales. I have to
Yeah,
maintain my balance,
yeah,
but if you're asking me to leave my balance, I got to put the sword down and sever that connection,
exactly.
protect my energy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, awakening to the inner life. I guess they used to call it spirit, but it's really energy, right? I mean,
Oh, it's energy, energy. I mean,
yeah,
that's the word we're using in our cultural
yeah,
change to the new age. It's
yeah.
an energy. Yeah.
Because you can tune into an energy.
Oh, yeah.
You can tune in to higher beings, higher levels of consciousness just
Mm-hmm.
by suggesting to your subconscious that it exists
Yeah.
and then just opening to the feeling of it coming in, some
Mhm.
people would be terrified by that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, because
Connecting
it's
with the
uncomfortable.
yeah,
They're not used to it.
yeah.
They have a belief system from some cultural thing or religious belief that, oh, that's an evil vibration or something, or,
Hmm. Yeah.
but when you're doing it in a healthy way, in a balanced way, you're feeling more love, more joy, more happiness, more understanding, more compassion, more, you feel those vibrations and you go, that's not bad. I mean, that
Yeah.
feels good. It
Yeah.
feels good. Yeah. And
Yeah.
people enjoy being around it.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any other way to really live a healthy life
Hmm.
and to base your choices based on the vibes and the
Yeah.
feelings that you're getting, you
Hmm.
know. And Vitfan talks about that as being part of the individualizing process.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's part of our evolution is becoming more and more individualized, less and less identified with the group field that we're born into.
Right.
But sometimes that leads to kind of persecution. Jesus said, come out from among them and be ye therefore separate.
Yeah.
Sounds good, but you're going to get a lot of resistance and flack and a lot of counter stuff coming in to try to tell you what you're supposed to do.
From
And
time to time, you're going to have that challenge and the spiral turn, and it
mhm,
may come back around. And what are you going to choose?
mhm, yeah,
Am I going to go think I have to do that because it's expected,
right.
or am I going to choose a wise path that's energetically more balanced?
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And
I
that
remember,
comes up.
I remember, I don't remember if he said it or if he wrote it or both, but he said, like, if you want to know if something is the right thing for you to do, look at how you feel before you do it, look at
Hmm.
how you feel while you do it, and look at how you feel after you do it, and then you know if you should do it again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's kind of day to day, both in work and socially, and, with friends and family, and just being home alone sometimes and
Mhm,
relaxing. What
mhm,
is my energy state and what would be the wisest course of action?
mhm. Yeah,
And when you do that on a regular basis, it becomes very much of a natural habit.
yeah, yeah. And if you recognize that when you're having feelings, you're really having vibrations.
Yeah.
There's a frequency that you're
Mhm.
tuning into.
Yeah.
You can just being alone in a room, you can practice tuning in to a
Hmm.
comfortable, harmonious space that feels like the real you.
Yeah.
And then that becomes your guide,
Hmm.
daily
Hmm.
living. So, but it's like we're living in a different dimension.
Oh,
People
yeah.
who are completely identified with the physical level. It's like
Hmm. Hmm.
living in a totally different world. They have to go and do something to find joy, and
Mm.
we have to just be something to find joy, be tuned in to a joyful, harmonious state,
Yeah.
and take 100% responsibility for the state
Hmm.
that we go into.
Yeah.
That's the process. So one of the questions I had for you at this point,
Oh,
oh yeah,
thank you.
oh yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the things I was curious about is it's really two questions, but the first is, um, Isidore's teachings are called organics.
Hmm. Hmm.
What did those teachings mean to you? How did they impact your life? How were you impacted by organics?
Well, the number one thing that, and I mentioned this in other episodes, is the transition from intellectual knowing to functional doing. And
But did
which
it
is,
have did it radically transform your life?
oh yeah,
You become a
because
different person? Did your life take on a whole different orientation?
1000%, because
Uh-huh.
I stopped thinking I knew the way to practicing doing the things we're talking about more and more on a regular basis till it started to become more of a natural habit. And I felt good, so I kept going. And
Hmm.
it felt like it was part of my purpose and path to continue with that. And it was joyful, it was happy, it was challenging, it was difficult at times, but I kind of knew what to do more or less because I had the tools to handle it.
Hmm.
And is that what you kind of mean?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was,
yeah,
so it was a radical change. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not anywhere near. I was basically, I'm not sure what you would call it, a physical human being who believed in the ways of the world and society. And you grow up, you get a job, you make money, you have a car, you have a house.
Hmm.
I didn't go that path. That
Hmm.
path was way gone.
Hmm.
But I got into more of the organic way of learning and practicing.
So what became the pursuit?
To
It
pursue
wasn't anymore, to get a job, to get a house, what became the pursuit?
my pursuit was to continue with that path forever. Whatever time, not even time, just keep going. Just put
Why?
one in front of
Why?
the other and
What's the
keep moving.
motivation? Why?
The motivation was it because it felt better and it felt like it's part of my path.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it was things would open up. The struggle became kind of less
Hmm.
because doors would open.
Hmm.
I know that when I was studying with the guy's name was Francois Nesbitt,
Hmm.
and he was a follower of what's his name, Joseph Campbell.
Right.
He talks about it in his series that he had on television, which was called The Power of Myth,
Hmm.
Following Your Bliss. I
Yeah.
don't really like the word, but I kind of know what he meant. If you
Hmm.
follow your own path, doors open. He said things mysteriously happen out of nowhere, which has happened to me numerous times. And I go, wow, that just was fantastic because I followed that inner, what we've been describing,
Hmm.
energy being
Hmm.
conscious in the moment, navigating your world in a way that's energy oriented and more beneficial in terms of how you feel and how you experience life in a more positive, constructive, and spiritual way.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was my motivation. Is that what you kind of were
Yeah,
driving at?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a it's
And-
a it's a reorientation
yeah.
toward, I don't know if you want to call it the light. Wittmann talks about, because he lays out the whole map,
Yeah.
and he talks about going from an energy being to the
Hmm.
second crossing,
Yeah.
light being.
Yeah.
And there's just like, from the time that I encountered Isidore, there was just this new hunger,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
hunger that I didn't even know I had. And
Yeah.
it's like a moth to the flame,
Yeah.
to the light, to the knowing,
Hmm.
going into the gnosis. Isidore calls it perceptive cognition,
Yeah.
instead of thinking about things, to get into the feel knowing of what's
Yes.
happening in the present moment, and the feel knowing of your path. And it's very much like in a way, like a kitten with your eyes closed. You don't really know where you're going, but it feels so right, so deep down inside, that you can't go against it without feeling really off.
Yeah. Yeah. You're bringing up a very, occasionally I'll talk to a friend like, what's the more powerful force? The force of a woman that wants a baby or the force of a person who wants to pursue their spiritual path? I
Hmm.
just out there. I don't really know what that means, but
Well,
because
in a way, there's a link between
yeah.
the two, because you're going toward what's called the second birth.
Hmm.
Where,
So,
because uh, did you feel like you went through, almost like reincarnated in this lifetime?
oh, oh yeah. And it's been several turns of the spiral where I'm not sure what to call it, but there's an evolution, there's a growing. Again, if you want to use the metaphor of plants and flowers and the seed planted and growing, you definitely experience it firsthand. I mean, it's very, what's the word? Dated moment to moment.
Hmm.
What you're breathing, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're doing, what you want to do, what you're going to do next.
Hmm.
It just becomes part of your day-to-day life.
Hmm.
And, you really don't question it that much at that point because it feels right.
Well, if you do question it, you leave it, because
Yeah,
as soon as you start thinking
that's right.
about it, you
Yeah.
lose connection with your feeling of the
Yeah.
energy in the now.
And I do have I call it meditation in the morning or whatever you want to call it. I do it almost every day. I just automatically do that as when I get up within minutes, you know, and that gets my energy moving in that direction because it's easy to put your attention on something like, oh, there's a problem I better solve today.
Hmm.
Now it's like, well, I can wait till later.
Hmm.
Then you can do the meditation and you go, I see what to do about the problem. It's not a problem. It's
Right.
an energy situation, and
Yep.
you can navigate it energetically,
Yep.
wisely.
So you can tune into the solution.
And then sometimes if it seems overwhelming, I go, I'm just going to let it go today. Maybe I'll think about it. Well, maybe I'll deal with it tomorrow.
You're gonna touch and let it go.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it later.
So, speaking of meditation, one of
Uh-huh.
the things that Izzy emphasized a lot was the practice of bare attention,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, what can you say about bare attention? What it means?
he would talk about a state of wordless awareness.
Wordless awareness, yeah.
It was related to being in a state of bare attention. When I would visit occasionally every so many years to the Zen Buddhist monastery called Shasta Abbey, they use the word mindfulness. So you're basically as much as possible in the moment. And you, when words and images go through you, you don't give it a lot of value. Yes, they may pop in and out, but you're not going off on a journey and putting your energy in that till you almost basically go unconscious. And you're giving it value and attention that really is not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Lose that state of bare attention
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, but then you bring it back. So it's building up kind of a stamina, a muscle, a function that has a healthy usage on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
much as possible all the time,
Mm-hmm.
if you can. And
Mm-hmm.
so your attention is more important than words. It's more important than problems. It's more important than doing the right thing. It's more important than making money. It's more important than most anything else,
Well, because
possibly.
everything hinges on that.
Yeah. So without bare attention,
Yeah.
you're going to be unconsciously attended.
Yeah, that's right. So bare attention
Yeah.
is really just the practice, I guess. Tell me if this is in agreement with what you're saying.
Yeah.
The practice of conscious witnessing without
Yeah.
judging it. You
Right.
feel pain, you watch the pain. You feel
Mhm.
guilty, you watch the guilt. You
Yeah.
feel nothing, you watch the nothing. You're
Yeah.
watching what's going on externally, quote unquote, externally. We'll talk
Mhm.
more about that. There is really no external, right?
Yeah. Right.
Anything that we're looking at that seems like it's out there is really a figment of my consciousness in here, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But so whatever's you're just observing to
Yeah.
notice, to notice, to notice. And through that noticing, you just start to wake up to like
Mhm.
doing, how you're functioning, how to deal with what's happening. It starts
Yeah.
to life becomes a conscious process.
Yeah. And that's why, you become a person with self-knowledge and self-observation and self-reflection, and you learn about yourself and how you behave and your old beliefs transitioning into more current in the moment, bare attention function.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you keep, and every time you discover an area like, oh my goodness, wow, here we go. Let's go. Let's grow through this one.
Right. Yeah. Let's watch.
And,
Let's
and
watch.
I just come to the conclusion, at least that's how I see it now. What's next? It could
This.
be small, yeah, it is next. And you, okay, now and I know what to do.
Yep.
I'm picking up the vibe. Sometimes it's light, medium, difficult.
Yep.
I'm aware of the energy. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
And you start to know what to do from practice.
Well, that brings up another part of his teaching. He would call it, using his electronic analogies, uh,
Mhm.
building a delay circuit.
Yeah,
Remember that
yeah.
one?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
so
Sure.
how would you explain building a delay circuit? What does that mean?
Yeah, and I like to use sometimes because Korzybski talked about that too. He called it the thalamocortical gap.
Mhm.
The thalamus being the lower brain, more emotional, and the cortex a little bit more, what's the
Intellectual.
word?
Intellectual.
Intellectual.
Oh,
But if you get emotional about something that grips you, he would say in his book, Korzybski, count to 10. Friedman might say, take some deep breaths, let it go, touch and let go. What do you call it? Detachment,
mhm.
learning to detach. So there's a pause. And apparently we have that ability, if we use it, to pause and not overreact, not react, reduce the reaction, react less, just notice it and not really go with it. And that to me is like that gap.
Mhm.
So I try to pay attention. I do pay attention to that
So you give yourself time to evaluate the situation before doing something to control it or influence it.
most of the time.
That's the
As
practice.
much of the time as I can.
Right.
I'm better off not getting too whipped up mentally and emotionally about something,
Mhm.
even though I may have a tendency to have the habit of doing it in that particular area of life.
Sure. Sure.
But well, there's an area where then maybe I continue to practice
Well,
the bare attention.
it seems to me after all these years of doing this stuff,
Yeah.
that the process that we're talking about, the process of conscious evolution, individualization, becoming who we truly are, waking up to reality, living masterfully, it comes down to replacing automatic patterns with
Hmm.
conscious choice.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I agree with
It's
that.
the simplest thing,
Yeah.
just he would do like a little diagram of like a fraction, like we have 1/2 is with a line between that's 1/2. Isidore
Hmm.
was conscious over subconscious.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
That
Hmm.
and that pretty much summarizes the whole thing is,
Hmm.
he would talk about uh sort of perfecting or developing the power of attention, choice, decision,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And
Right.
so you pay attention. What am I actually choosing here? What is the decision I'm making? And what do I really want to bring about here? What do I really want to accomplish? That delay circuit gives you the chance to sort of make a conscious choice, make a conscious decision
Yeah.
about where you want to go, and then what is the most reasonable course of action to get there.
Hmm.
Couples,
It,
for instance, when couples bicker and quarrel and argue, you say, well, why are you doing that? And they say, well, I'm trying to improve the relationship,
mhm,
by
mhm.
arguing, and
Right.
fighting and yelling,
Yeah.
trying to get this relationship to work for me. But
Hmm.
when you do that, the lower the vibration, the more it falls apart.
That's very like a good description right there. So
Yeah.
yeah, it, choice is a beautiful thing. I mean, it opens up so many, I was going to use the word possibilities,
Mhm.
but it's very liberating to go like, okay, I have all these choices. Now, what are some of the wiser choices that I can take? And when you take them, you feel better,
Mhm.
enjoy more, and things iron out or doors open. So you go, next time I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, because our automatic reaction can often be self-sabotaging.
Oh, yeah, no
Doesn't
doubt about
necessarily fit in. That's one of the things about relating to the universe as an energy universe,
it.
where every now is new. Every automatic pattern is from the past.
Hmm.
It's not connected to what's actually happening. There may be a few similarities that's triggering you off,
Yeah.
but the reaction pattern was not designed to fit into this specific structure of
Hmm.
situation.
Right.
Now, if I pause and step back and tune
Hmm.
in and pay attention, I can start to get a sense of how I want to function here.
Yeah. And of course, some of the things that from time to time, I'll use this with a person that I know or a situation. I'll sleep on it. I literally do sleep on it.
Thomas
I
Edison did that.
let it go
Hmm.
and almost basically forget it.
Hmm.
And then sleep. And the next day, I kind of wake up fresh. I do my little meditation. And something that just pops in my mind. Here's a
Hmm.
wide course of action. Take a look at it. See what you see. How does it feel? And when you do that, it's amazing how doors open
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever ways of describing it. But it feels good. And you go, okay, let me see what happens.
But I think it has to be based
Hmm.
on a foundation of trust that
Yeah.
you're going to get your answer.
Oh, yeah. No, no. Yeah, exactly. And over time, that trust builds up.
Yeah, like I can let this go. I'm starting
Yeah.
to get churned up inside. That means it's time to let it go.
Hmm.
Put some
Hmm.
rhythm into it. It's time to take a break from it and just trust that I'm going to get my answer when I need it.
Yeah.
Building up the stress and the intensity and trying to force it to
Oh,
come.
no, I have times when I go, oh, I got to fix it right now.
Right.
I go, and I start watching myself do that. And my conscious mind tries to remind me I don't listen. It could be some small thing, I don't know. Can't even think of one that just happened, but they
Yeah,
happen.
well, I'm in the process right now. I feel that it's
Yeah.
time that I need to replace my automobile,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but I don't know which
Oh,
one to get.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm totally trusting I'm going to know the right one at the right
yeah.
time, which programs the subconscious to sort of bring it about.
And you will. You'll attract the
Yeah,
right vehicle at the right
yeah.
time, at the
You
right
just
price,
know,
with the right
boom, you just
people.
know it's
Yeah,
the right thing.
it,
Yeah,
it will. Yeah, and if you again that stepping back rather than go into a panic state and rush
right.
or go somewhere. I have to get this car because my someone told me this is the one I have to get.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
make a decision out of fear.
Yeah. And then you're going to attract a fear event.
Yeah,
You know?
actually, like advertisements say, hurry up and save by buying now.
Yeah.
But if you're buying now, you're not really saving. You
Almost
hurry
sounds
up
like
and spend.
almost sounds like a stand-up routine.
Yeah, yeah.
The buy now routine. Yeah. It's
Buy
a good
now.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just
But just learning to recognize like the warning signals that you're starting to get unconscious,
yeah.
that you're trying to make a decision in haste. Isidore
Mhm.
used to quote, I don't know if it was from ancient Egypt or used to say, go slow, go soft, and go far.
Yeah.
And
I,
make
I
it slowly.
I got an example of what I recently, something like this, because they pop up. And the other morning, I got a message, email early in the morning from the person who's putting together and typing up the organics book.
Hmm.
We're going to get that out.
Hmm.
And she's also kind of giving me, we're trying to duplicate the cover the best we can. Okay. So she sent some visuals. I downloaded them and looked at it and said, well, that's not what I had in mind. I could be totally off. That's just how I held the image. She might be totally right. She was a wonderful person,
Hmm.
but I tried to force it. Well, I got to be somewhere in a half hour. Let me hurry up and get this done. That was
Ah,
that was not wise. And she's an engineer, by the way, so
oh, good.
she's very focused, very organized, very step by step.
Mhm.
And finally, before I left to go where I was going to go, I sent her, let it go for the day. I'll get back to you later or tomorrow.
Right.
And she really appreciated that. She said, oh,
Mhm.
thank you. I felt maybe I made a mistake.
Right.
I said,
Right.
no, you didn't. I didn't explain it to you. So when I got back, here are the three things I had in mind. One, two,
Right.
three. Let's see if we can figure this out together. It
You gave
totally changed.
yourself you gave yourself time to digest the
Yeah,
situation and become clear about what you wanted to accomplish
yeah,
instead of just pushing,
yeah.
rushing.
I was pushing. It was compulsive and it was rushed.
Mhm.
So I mean, high percentage of the time, rush is an indicator that you're really not in the moment.
Well, it's funny, I've done a lot of work with like organic parenting, teaching that sort of
Oh,
thing. And it's amazing how common it is for parents to say to their young children, come on, hurry up, let's go.
oh yes, yeah,
Over and over and over. Come on, hurry up, let's go. Instead of function at right pace,
yeah. Their energy situation and where they're at in their level of being, whatever that is, and yours, and what has to take place.
Mhm. And
And
then
when you,
consciousness in the parenting aspect
Mhm.
is holding the child responsible for the parent holding the child responsible for the parent's emotional state.
Mhm.
You make me nervous, you make me angry, you make me frustrated,
I
you make
shouldn't
me
laugh.
you make me repeat myself, you make me yell at you, you make me spank you, you make me
Yeah.
punish you.
Don't forget to say you're bad.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You eat like a pig.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oink,
So
oink.
all that stuff goes in to
Yeah.
the programming. And then, of course, as an adult, you're constantly battling your natural pace. You think it's not
Mhm.
adequate. I've got
Yeah.
to hurry here, or I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get some authority figure mad at me,
Oh,
right?
I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm in my mid 70s now, and I still, and it probably will for who knows when,
Maybe,
will get
maybe
a
maybe you're
reaction.
over it now.
Well, no, no, I'll get a reaction, and I go like, what the heck?
Right.
That's got to be from when I was like 3 years old.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can feel it coming up,
Yep.
and I know now most of the time, don't
Mhm.
go with that. That's just an old tape. It's an old pressure point of the past.
Don't ride that
Yeah,
horse.
exactly. So you go, okay, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
We
So,
get in the moment, get their attention, be focused, be conscious,
okay, now,
pause.
now one of the things that
Yeah.
Isidore would talk about was in order for us to apply this stuff, it requires an abundance of energy.
Oh, yeah.
And so he would talk about the practice of conservation of energy,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Not like conservation of like how long you leave your light bulb on,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
talk a little bit about, if you would, this concept, this practice of and
Yeah.
the importance of conservation of energy in daily living.
Okay, I'm going to do my best here. Okay. It's a big one, but
No,
it's a
no
good one.
pressure, but please hurry
Yeah.
up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, let me do a touch and let go. So, yeah, okay, even one of the basic things I started doing more was conscious motion, doing like picking this cup up, putting it down. That little bit of that,
Noticing how
noticing,
fast you're doing it, noticing them. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying? Noticing the
yes,
motion that you go, not just doing it, but consciously moving it.
right?
Yeah.
I feel the arm, I'm touching it, I'm moving it, I'm sipping from the water. That little bit of activity, if that's done over and throughout a whole day or for hours on end or for minutes on end, it conserves a lot of energy.
Okay. So what's the value of conserving energy during the day? Why is it so important? So
For
essential?
me, for me, when there's some situation that's a little bit more challenging, maybe demands a little more attention, I have the energy and the strength not to be overwhelmed or have a tidal wave sort of just go over me and get swept into something. And that's the beauty of it to me. I have a steady amount of energy generally through the whole day.
Right. Like it's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Right, exactly. I
Mhm.
sort of pace myself.
Right.
And when I have moments to re through rhythmic alternation,
Mhm.
to take a few minutes to rejuvenate, realign, notice my energy. Oh, wow, okay. Raise my energy by tuning into whatever, relaxation, emotional calm, peace of mind, bear attention, all these different skills that you can access and use.
Basically letting yourself rest.
Exactly.
Basically letting your battery recharge, resting
Recharge.
mentally, emotionally, and physically.
And the universe, if you want to call it the universe, but energy has rhythmic patterns, so it does recharge. It's almost like you plug into the battery of life.
Mhm.
That life force increases.
So in order to apply organics, in order to be a conscious energy being and function, using your mind correctly, you're watching your reaction, it takes a lot of energy.
It takes
So
a lot of energy.
so what are some of the things that people do that, because Isidore talked a lot about how we waste energy in daily life.
Oh,
What
oh
are some of
yeah.
the things you've observed that are the big energy drains so that like by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the person is like comatose and they have
Yeah.
like the rest of the day to function?
Yeah. Doing too much in too short a time.
What
Rush.
do you mean by that? What does that mean? Doing too much in too short a time.
A lot of jobs even have this, where the demand on a person having to do, say, 50 or 100 different mini tasks all in a row without stopping. I mean, it used to be years ago, you never stopped
Yeah.
because you worked from the time that the sun went up to the sun went down. Now you have a lunch break, you have a morning break, you have an afternoon break. You need to pay attention to that because people are so overloaded, then they really lose that sense of having good energy or a good amount of energy. Um,
So functioning in a hasty way, pushing, rushing, that
yeah,
just burns energy away.
burns
While
it.
doing it, you might feel high energy, but by the time it's done, you're
Yeah.
too drained to be conscious.
And being around an environment or around activities, or even it could be radio, television, internet, TikTok, where you're doing so much of something that's starting to drain you, you're not paying attention to that and stopping
Mhm.
and letting it go.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just doing too much of one thing
That can
all
do.
at once,
Yep.
over and over and over, and getting bound in that habit pattern, and then just drain the heck out of themselves.
Yep.
So they go through these massive ups and downs, up here, down here.
And
And
then there's the principle of, like Isidore would say it, whatever gets your attention gets you.
yeah,
And so if you're putting too much attention in the outer world,
hmm
you're draining yourself energy. One of the ways to recharge is to put your attention inside, to
yeah,
become self-aware. That sends the energy back to you.
hmm
Parents are often, and like preschool teachers who have to put a lot of attention on the person outside of them.
yeah,
It's exhausting. Why is it exhausting? Because they're not balancing their attention,
yeah,
getting so caught up on what the child is doing and responding to that, they're not noticing, you know what? I need to let him like do that for a little bit because I need to just be still.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
He's digging a hole in a pile of dirt and he's getting all filthy. But you know what? I'm starting to get strained here, and I'm
Yeah,
starting to get drained here. And if my energy goes too low, my consciousness goes too low, my functioning goes too low. So I
mhm,
just gotta, like, let the universe handle that. Now, if
yeah.
I'm playing on a train track and there's a train
Oh,
coming, I'm going to take
of
action.
course, yeah.
But
But
that's so rare.
you know to say, okay, enough is enough. I don't have to really do anything here at this point. Okay, maybe they're getting a little dirty. Maybe they're this, maybe that. Are they dying? No, they're not dying. But
No,
pay attention. And if you need to be intervened, go ahead. But if you don't, let it take care of itself.
that's right.
Yeah.
So you take care of yourself.
Exactly.
And
Which
then,
means interact with them in a healthy way.
right.
Yeah.
Now, one of the biggest wastes of energy that Isidore would talk about is too much speech.
Oh,
Used to say remember what he would say, KYBMS?
yeah. Keep your big mouth shut.
That's right.
Yeah.
So have you observed that? The people just go
Oh,
and just talk excessively more than necessary.
yeah.
Right? You want to don't you, it's important to talk, to speak, but not more than necessary. You want to try to be concise with your words, not
Mhm.
ramble on and on. And even what you're talking about, you have to be aware of because that
Oh,
can
yeah.
also drain you of energy.
Yeah. People become, some people become compulsive talkers.
Hmm.
And you can see their energy level going down because they've been talking nonstop about really almost nothing.
Hmm.
I mean, usually it's a problem. It's about some victimhood. I have to be right. And they can go on trying to convince other people how right they are.
Or it's a
And
complaint.
a complaint. Yeah,
Isidore
exactly.
used to say complaining is like spitting against the wind.
Yeah. So I know over the last 10 years, I've been reducing the amount of complaint time. Like my son will call and he'll want, hey, how's everything going with such and such? I said, well, I'll give you a little tidbit, but I'm not going to go on and on about it because I'm in the process of letting these things go more. And
Mhm.
he likes that
And
because he does.
regenerating and letting your energy come up.
Right.
People talk because they have an idea, but if they're watching their energy, they say, you know what, I'm starting to feel strained and I'm
Yep.
starting to feel drained. And that's a sign that I need to stop, allow myself to recharge. Or
There you
they'll
go.
talk, or they'll talk about problematic matters in bed at night before they're going to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Right.
my boss is coming down on me and I got to come up with this thing. And the guy next to me was over there. And it's like midnight and you're trying to and then you wind up going to sleep into that energy.
Oh, yeah. And then
And you
you've
wind up
compounded
sleep.
it
Yeah. You wind up dreaming of being at the office,
and you can get up the next day tired and drained
Exactly.
as a
Exactly.
result. Yeah.
So that's
Uh,
the conscious measured speech.
yeah. Measured
It's
speech.
effect upon our energy. Also, another one is the constant mind, the
Oh,
constant thinking.
automatic thinking like a
Thinking,
robot,
thinking.
automaton. Yeah.
Every thought is an expenditure of energy.
Hmm.
And we have plenty of energy, but we have to marshal it properly. It was interesting, when we started studying with Isidore, that was a time when they were talking about energy conservation on the planet.
Hmm.
To me, it was like an outer representation of what we
Yeah.
were learning, that the outer energy crisis was actually a manifestation of each individual's energy
Hmm.
crisis. And it always comes back down to trust, like to not trust that you can live a balanced, healthy, natural, harmonious life and succeed and thrive, that you
Hmm.
have to
Hmm.
live a self-destructive pattern. It's ironic, you got to kill yourself to survive, basically, right? It's
I
really,
shouldn't laugh, but it makes a lot of sense.
I know, yeah.
It's the phoenix that rises out of the ashes. The phoenix that rises out of the ashes. The dark night of the soul. Some people need that.
So what
Yeah.
what have you done? How have you gained control mentally so that you're not burning yourself out with excessive thought?
Well, I would say you've described some of it: self-observation, self-reflection, being aware of the thoughts that come and go in and out of the mind. Most of the time now, I'll be kind of surprised, like, what? What? Where's that? I don't try to overanalyze it.
Mm,
I notice it, it's there, it leaves.
mhm,
Notice it, there, it leaves. I
mhm,
give more value to being in the moment than
mhm,
trying to figure something out through thinking.
mhm.
So I don't spend a lot of time doing automatic thinking about anything.
Yeah,
Now, thinking's a wonderful skill, and you can gather some information,
it's a tool.
then let it go.
Mhm.
Allow other things to work, like your intuition, your feelings,
Mhm.
your energy levels, multiple levels of coming to determine what makes sense and wise to do or not do.
And in
So,
the beginning, it can be like a battle, though.
oh yeah.
You
Oh,
find the mind wants to turn off. And I find that for me, what I do, if I start to feel like I'm overthinking, you have to, first of all, you have to notice it happening
yeah, yeah,
and bear attention to notice what I'm up to, right? But
yeah,
once I notice any degree of overthinking, I shift my attention and
yeah,
focus on my feelings,
yeah, yeah.
which is
I
another way of saying the energy in the present moment.
yeah. From time to time, I still get caught up in intense overthinking.
Mhm.
It's an old habit that'll come up. Now, if I think about it long enough and hard enough, I'll figure out what it is.
Right, right.
And I know that's a delusion now.
Well, also Isidore would talk about how the laws of physics operate on the inner levels as
Mhm.
well. If you're working on your job and you're doing a lot of thinking all day, it's
Mm.
going to be harder to stop thinking in the
Yeah.
evening. So you have to really monitor it all day long.
Hmm.
And then again, it comes back to this trust, like, because thinking is very much about trying to stay in control,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Get
can
the
I
right
just let
thoughts
go
with
of
the
it
right people.
all? Yeah, can I just let go of all the things I'm thinking about and just
Hmm.
focus on feeling in the present moment, feeling good in the present moment, that practice of awareness. And then the last thing, I think the last big energy drain as we draw to the close of episode 5, I
Wow.
think the,
Okay.
the last
Time
big
flies.
time flies when you're having fun. The
Yeah.
last big drain is emotional reacting.
Oh, yeah. Register, but don't react.
So why don't you talk a little bit about how emotions play into, the loss of energy, the lack of energy, which translates into the lack of consciousness, which translates into lower level functioning, which brings about lower results, right?
Yeah. When you overreact to a person, place, or thing, or circumstance, or event, likes and dislikes, and you get locked into that overreaction, then the emotion sort of spins out of control and it starts to drain you
Mhm.
more and more and more. Uh, for example, I know if I go to the doctor now, I'm not sure why it happens when you turn 70, but they'll often ask, have you been depressed lately? I'm kind of what's the word? I'm not sure what it is.
Mischievous.
Yeah, mischievous joker. Like I haven't been depressed since 1981. That's true, actually, because it was 1981 that I said, why am I identifying with that emotion?
Right.
Why am I indulging it? It really is dead end. I mean, it drains my energy.
Well, that also reminds me of a way that I sort of joke around. You were talking earlier about how one
Yeah.
of the ways we waste energy is by trying to do too much, to get too much
Yeah.
done. And I would tell people, I've just congratulated myself today. I finally got my to-do list complete from 1978. I'm all caught up on
Yeah,
1978,
that's right.
you
Yeah.
know. So we talk about it this like a to-do list, right?
Mm.
Things you want to
That's
get done.
another one. Yeah.
But there's also you have to have a to-be list.
Yeah.
I want to be at peace. I want
Hmm.
to be centered. I want to enjoy each moment. I want to be able to
Yeah.
come from love. I want to be
Yeah.
able to tune into wisdom to guide me instead of automatic reactions. So
Hmm.
every emotional reaction we have drains us of energy. It's
Yeah.
like setting fire to a piece of paper.
Hmm.
That's why we want to practice maintaining our peace and poise. So Isidore would have that triangle: peace, poise, power.
Yeah.
Lose your peace and poise, you lose your power. And if you lose your power, you lose your consciousness, you function at a low level results,
Hmm.
right?
And of course, the emotion becomes another energy that you're picking up on, you're registering, and you have a choice because you're aware of it. It opens up, do I want to be gripped by that emotion or not?
Right.
Is there another way to go? Maybe just let it go and things begin to take care of itself most of the time.
Yes.
If it's a pressing situation, you'll know it is and you'll make a decision a little faster. But you know it's wise in that circumstance to increase the speed in that particular instance, and you do
Yes.
it. Yeah.
And that begins with remembering that how you react is what you yourself are doing. It's
Hmm.
not, no one's making you mad. No one's making you
Oh,
angry. No one's making
oh,
you upset. But when
yeah.
we use language, when we misuse language, and we assign the cause outside of ourselves, we've just functionally disempowered ourselves to make a better choice when it comes
I
to
did have a boss once who used to say, Nielsen, you're an asshole. You're an idiot.
right.
And
Yeah.
this is had to be 30 years ago or something.
Mhm.
At first, I went, I am in my mind.
Right.
Finally, one day, I went, hey, don't forget, register, but don't react.
Right.
So when he would do that, I go,
Uh-huh. Just work.
sometimes he would say, I could see your point of view.
Right, right. If I look in the mirror behind myself.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was a pretty, it's very functional and very useful to have those skills.
Mhm.
And I was so grateful that I remembered to do it because it evaporated. He never did it much again after that.
Well, when we react to something, we
Mhm.
create a kind of an energy circuit with it. And so
Yeah,
the more you react to it, the more it happens.
sure. And it was never him. It was what you were saying. It was me who had that in me and needed to learn to let it go.
Right. Well,
And so,
speaking of letting it go,
oh, all
we're
right.
about to let go of our episode 5. Is there?
It was fun tuning in tonight, Bob.
Oh yeah, it's always. I'm so enjoying this.
Oh,
I'm.
yeah.
You are too. Just connecting again. You and I. It's been so
Love
long,
it. Love it. Yeah.
and here
It's
we are
fantastic.
talking about the most important aspect of our lives that we both share.
Yeah. And we continue sharing it not only between us, but as many people as possible. And
Yes.
those who need to be around it, they'll be around it. So that's cool. Yeah.
Okay. So, and anything you'd like to say in closing, Greg, as we wrap
I
it up?
can't wait until the next episode 6.
Good. Good. All right. Well,
It's
we'll
starting to get a momentum.
yeah. Yeah.
Looking forward to it each time, and the energy is very rejuvenating. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's so nice for us to be able to connect like this, heart to heart, soul to soul. There's
yeah.
obviously some kind of deep connection we have if we were
Oh
both
yeah,
connecting to Isidore same time,
yes.
and
The
that,
timing is wonderful to reconnect and have all this sort of sharing of decades of
yeah,
experiences. It's wonderful. Yeah,
yeah. When I first found Isidore was, Izzy, you, Nancy, and Joe. That was my new family.
yeah. Oh yeah, no,
We're all just immersed in this new awakening with Isidore just being this beaming sun with his big Buddha belly, and his little
yeah.
white sailor hat
Uh,
in the summer.
very. I look back with a lot of
Oh,
feeling very fortunate,
oh
very
my God.
like a blessed soul. I mean, if
That
I
we that
how
we
I
met.
stumbled into that, I have no idea, but God bless myself and whoever else. It was
Okay.
wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, Greg. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah. Adios, amigo.
You go.
Next time.
And until next time, we'll
Yeah.
see you at tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
See you next time. Adios.